Welcome to Monticello. Today we're talking about the new Tamron 35-150. I've been waiting for this lens for a while. I've been reading a lot of rumors about it. It's finally in hand. As soon as it was available, I pre-ordered it. I got it about a week ago, so I've been using it for a couple projects. This past weekend I actually used it for 2 weddings. The one I did just last night, the entire wedding was shot just on the Sony a7S III with this lens. I've been very impressed so far, so I'll share my thoughts on it, my experience using it, some of the main reasons I got the lens and who I think it's best for. And throughout the video, you'll be seeing cool shots that we've taken here, as well as some of those shots that I've taken at those past weddings. Whenever I'm considering getting a new piece of gear, whether it's a camera or a lens, I'm always thinking about 3 things. Its value, its versatility, and its uniqueness. The Tamron 35-150 kind of checks off all boxes. Yes, it's expensive, but when you consider that it's kind of replacing basically 2 lenses. So I actually sold the Tamron 70-180 so I could get this. I'm still keeping the Sigma 24-70 because it's actually still a pretty versatile lens and it has its use cases on my second B-roll camera. This is a great example of why I love this lens so much. 35 is pretty wide and you can get a lot of your subject in frame, as well as if you're doing landscape photography, videography, whatever. And the ability to then zoom into 150 and still have a relatively fast lens that's good in low light and give you that nice depth of field still is really incredible. So with zoom lenses in general, you know, if you're comparing it to a prime, typically they aren't going to give you the fastest performance, they're not going to give you the sharpest images, and they're not going to typically have the best minimum focus distance as well. What they do offer, however, is that versatility. Again, to have one lens that covers 35-150. There's nothing like it on Sony right now, especially f2, that's the fastest offered. And so although most of my shots were not shot at 35 on this lens, they were typically 50 or above, it's still great to know that I have that little bit of extra low light performance if I bump it to f2. Right now, we're at 35 at f2, just to show you the difference between f2 and f2.8. So now let's go to f2.8. So in terms of value, this is basically replacing 2 lenses again for me. It's replacing the Sigma 24-70 as well as the Tamron 70-180. Both cost about $1,000, so this is about twice their price. The other thing to consider though is now there's the additional value of not needing to carry those 2 additional lenses. There's not the need to switch between those 2 additional lenses. So for me as a videographer who needs to get the shot, who doesn't really have time to switch lenses, this has the additional performance, in my opinion, compared to those 2 lenses. Something that I noticed was extremely valuable when having this range was when working around other photographers during the wedding. So say for example, you know, you're trying to shoot down the aisle and you have the photographer, you know, they tend to take priority, unfortunately, and they tend to stand in front of you, you know, they're not really always considerate as far as like where everyone else is. They just think, I need to get the shot. Something I've been able to do is basically stand a little further back behind the photographer, put my lens a little bit higher above his or her shoulder at 150, and I'm still getting an incredible shot. That's something I wasn't really able to do with the 24-70 Sigma. If you're considering the whole area of the ceremony with the last chairs at the last row, typically I wouldn't be comfortable enough standing at the far back row shooting at 70 because that's not tight enough for me. 35 again to 150 I think is the perfect zoom range because you can get all your subjects in frame, and then if you really need to get tight, whether it's for an artistic look or you know, you're working around other constraints, photographer or other subjects in your way, I think 150 helps a lot with that. 35, 50, 70, 85, 100, 135, 150. That versatility in one lens to have, again, going from f2 to f2.8 is incredible, considering that my Sigma is an f2.8 from 24-70. So right away, I think it's better than the Sigma. Granted, it is twice the price. So something that I actually did a lot throughout the wedding is I actually kept it constant at f2.8. So that way, no matter if I was zooming from 35 to 150, it would be at a constant f2.8 and I wouldn't have to adjust my ISO at all because I usually try to keep my settings all constant with the exception of the zoom range. All right, so we're gonna do a tracking test now at 150. The closest you probably wanna get with your subject is about 4 to 5 feet away. 1, so you don't completely cut off their face, and 2, so it can retain that good autofocus on them. So right now we have it set to tracking my eye, I believe, eye and face autofocus. So I'm just gonna be walking away from the lens, back, turn around, So pretty good. We're doing the tracking test now at 35 at f2. Am I still in focus here?
Yep.
Here?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Nice. I know a lot of other people are going to be interested in, do they need new gear to kind of support this? And what I mean by that is gimbal specifically. I'm using the DJI Ronin RS2, and that actually supports this lens. My suggestion for that is to balance it at about the halfway point. So that's about between 70 and 85. I do notice the motors actually have to work quite a bit harder to support this lens, and any minor bumps tend to offset this a little bit easier than smaller lenses like the Sigma 24-70. So you do need to be a little bit extra cautious when using this lens. But that said, I can do tracking motions, I can pan, I can tilt, there's no issues with that. But I do notice that the motors are working harder, so it's also draining the battery a little bit more too. But if you've already invested in that gimbal or one with similar specs, it will support this lens. Just keep those things in mind. And now we're shooting at 85. I use this a lot during the wedding. This helps you, again, stay a little bit further away, but still get really close up to your subject without distorting them too much. So these have just been my initial impressions using the lens for the past couple days. I know it's currently on back order, but for a lot of people, I think this will be a lens worth waiting for and worth getting, and possibly worth selling a couple other lenses for as well, like I have in my case. Yes, it's heavy, yes, it's expensive, but as we've explained, it can basically replace 2 lenses for you. And if you have a similar style of shooting, to me, it can be the main or only lens that you really need for a lot of your projects, including wedding films. So I'm really excited about using this. I'm really excited to have it right now. And so far, I'm very impressed with the results that I've gotten out of it. I'll be doing more in-depth reviews and comparisons using this lens in the next coming videos, so stay tuned for that. If you're new, subscribe, and if this video helps you out, please give it a like. And until the next time, I'll catch you later.